part 3. As promised, we're going to paint. But before we do that, I need you to go ahead and grab your box of crayons. We just need a red crayon today. Of course, we're using a crayon because it's waxy. We're going to create our threads using the red crayon. It's going to give us texture, and it's going to look really good. And we can be a lot more precise than with our paintbrush. So we're going to go back and forth, as if this string is going around this spool. This is an easier way for me to do it. So I like to turn my paper on its side. It's just easier to get that nice curve. And just back and forth, little smiley faces or rainbows, depending how you want to look at it. And I made them a little short. I'm going to go a little longer. I'm going to fill in some of those white spaces. I do want some white space though, because that's going to make it look more interesting when I'm done. I want you to see these individual strings. Okay, that looks good. I'm happy with that. Now, from here, we've got to thread this needle. So let's start up here right below his hand, as if that thread is through that loop. And I'm going to go up and down. I'm going to press hard. I'm going to cross this over and have it come down and kind of loop and come back up and cross those lines I just made so that you can tell where it is. And then I'm going to have it sort of wrap around and come up. I'm going to make these a little more rounded, just so I sort of finish them off a little bit. All right, that looks so good. And don't forget, through the other side of the needle, it's got to come out somewhere. So it's going to loop around, and then it's going to fall. I'm going to have it twist around the needle and come down and just sort of hang there, let gravity do its thing, and come across so it's pulled on the ground a little bit. Oh, there, that's fun. I love it. I think that looks fantastic. All right, thank you, crayons. Now, you know how to prepare your watercolors. When we watercolor on top of the crayon, it's not going to stick because of the wax that's in the crayons. And there are a few other spots that I'm going to go ahead and use crayons on. One is the nose. I want him to have a cute little red nose. So I'm going to go ahead and color that little tiny space in because I know that would be hard to paint. And I might end up making the red nose like blend into his face color and be a big splotch. And I don't want that. I'm also going to go around his eyes with the black, but I'm going to leave a nice little white dot. That is his life spot. Life spots are so important because they really make him look like he has a little spark in his eye. And the only other thing I think I'll color today is the inside of the ear because I really want that to be pink. And I don't have a great way to make pink using these watercolors. I could do a really watery red and that would make it look pinkish, but I kind of want it to be vibrant today. So I am going to color in nice and hard in the inside of his ears only. Now, we only have a few colors to work with when we're talking about mouse fur and a spool. So we want to sort of mix our colors up a little bit so we can get a little more variety and a little more shading going on. So I'm going to do the outside of his body one color, and I'm going to do his belly, his tummy, a lighter color. So that's my plan. Now, I feel like he's probably going to be brown, and then I'm going to let that spool be more of a golden yellow color. I'm going to make sure these are wet. They've been sitting here for a little while, so I'm going to add some more water to them. Let them get mixed up. You know how that works. Get the water out of my brush. And I'm going to start with the mouse. And like I said, I want that belly to be lighter, so I have to think this through. I want him to look a little shaded too, to have a little roundness to him. So I'm going to grab my brown and I'm going to start to put little tiny lines in like I'm drawing fur. So I want to give it a little texture. And you can see I am staying really close to the edge right by this Sharpie. I'm doing that on purpose and I'm trying to make little tiny lines, and I just keep painting until my brush basically runs out of paint. Now I'm trying to create a little bit of a 3D effect, make him look like he is a furry little creature. And then I'm just grabbing water and I'm going to put water on top of it and spread it to the middle. So see how the middle remained lighter? That was the plan. Now I want a darker brown. So I'm going to take the brown color and I'm going to add a little bit of blue into it. So I'm making sort of a blue-gray color. And then I'm going to put a little more brown on top of it because it's a little too blue. I didn't want it quite that blue. He's getting pretty dark there. But I like it. I think that's good. And I'm going to bring some of that lighter brown up into his face. And then I'm going to just keep playing with those colors, that brown and that blue, to create these different tones of brown that I'm looking for. Aha, looks good. All right, on to the needle. I made my needle blue, and I'm going to make his hat green because that's going to pop next to that pink. And now the spool of thread, I'm going to pretend like this is wooden because, you know, this is a long time ago. So I'm going to go ahead and use yellow and then layer just a little bit of brown on top of it to make it kind of golden looking. I'm not going to cover my threads up. I'm just going to do the spool, add a little bit of that golden brown. I'm kind of letting the brown just sort of mix in with the yellow on its own. I'm not doing a whole lot of blending, just kind of plunking it down on there. All right, and now we don't want the thread to be see-through, so I'm going to go ahead and cover it with red, but you can still see all those little threads. It still has that really beautiful texture. And that's it. I love this. This came out so good. So go ahead and let it dry for tomorrow, and I'll see you for part 4. Bye.